So we keep on, so we are afraid of being emptied out. So we collect a lot of things, we acquire a lot of things. People collect stamps, and people collect coins, and people collect VHS cassettes, and people have rooms and rooms full of VHS cassettes. Now they're gone, and they have DVDs, and then this, and then that, and then we want people. We long to be left alone. That we have to have friends. The collecting people. It's basically we want some activity. We cannot be left alone, and that is the problem. So the collection is really important. So when you stop collecting the material things, the inner joy will fill your heart. The happiness will fill your heart. The contentment will fill your heart. And love for everyone will fill your heart. It will automatically flow. Because nothing stays empty in the world. Even though we see it or not, that's another story, but we'll feel it. Another example of collecting is people trying to eat fast. People eat so fast, the chewing has become obsolete nowadays. Nobody chews anything. Either you drink or you just few couple of bites and then you swallow. It's again a sign of hoarding, and that leads to, of course, obesity and all these things. So that way, raw food, again, making a point for raw food, it gives you patience. You have, at least you go through the chewing part, which is the way it's supposed to be. So again, the whole attitude towards life is all synchronized. How we behave at the tiniest level, from having a bite of food to how we deal with people and how we go to bed at night, all these things are all synchronized together. And that shows our desire to accumulate and gather and hoard. And we spend our whole day like that, and at night also we'll be counting the bank balance that we had all day long, or what he said and what she said and all that. And then we go to bed, and then we wake up again in the morning doing the same thing again, as if literally we never slept. Because even in the sleep we were doing the same thing. So we don't have sleep. So there was a famous saint, Gurjit, they call it. He told his shishyas that every night he went to bed, and whenever he sent them off to their house, he says, "Thank you for seeing me. We may see each other again in the morning or not. Thanks for knowing you." And then in the morning, he will say, "Nice to see you again. If God's willing, we have met together again." And after a while, all the students go crazy. He says, "Why do you do that every night?" He says, "I want to go to bed every night as if I have severed all the connections with everyone else. I have no attachments left, and that's how I go to bed. So when I go to bed as if I'm totally emptied out, that's when I can have a fresh start in the morning. Otherwise, I'm going through the whole thing as if I never left the connections." So to have a fresh mind in the morning, you have to go at bed by cutting out all your connections and attachments, at least in your mind, so that you can have a fresh start in the morning. So there was a joke, right, about one monk asks his guru, he says, "Can I use emails? Nowadays everybody is using emails." So Guru says, "Yeah, as long as there are no attachments." So the people are afraid to lose their identity. So by collecting, we identify ourselves. So ultimately collections have no value. As long as I can collect stamps, I can say this is my stamp collection. It identifies me. As long as I have 50 friends, I can say that, okay, these are my friends. So it may not have anything to do with the friends or not, but it's boosting the ego. By maintaining my ego, by saying that these are the possessions that are in my house, my wife, my keys, my car, whatever, right? So we are afraid to lose the identity. And the reason we are afraid to lose the identity is what's causing the problem. Think of the river. River starts from the mountains, and then it goes through series of steps. It goes through, and a lot of people worship it. They put flowers in it because it has a nice fresh water. It's brought in, so that helps them sustain their farming. They grow the crops. They drink the water. It's really, but the river is bound by the two river banks, right? And ultimately, the river goes and meets the ocean. But the ocean is all salty, Nobody can drink water of the ocean. And then over there it loses its identity. Where is Ganga? Where is Yamuna? Where is Yangtze River? Where is Hudson River? There is nothing there. All the waters get together. They lose their identity. But the thing is that if the river was thinking that, oh, I lost all my respect from other people, people were praising me, and all these things, what happened to all that? At least I could do all those things and keep patience. I mean, people happy, and then people were worshipping me. They're putting all these divas inside me, and all that is gone, and my freshness is gone. But if it was doing that, if the river was thinking, then it would have a problem. Maybe it would have stopped flowing, and then it would have become stagnant, and then it would not have gotten the chance to merge with the infinite ocean. So when you drop your identifications, you're merging with infinite, and that experience is totally different. The thing is that we think, and river doesn't. That's the problem. The river doesn't think. The river just keeps on doing. Whether you praise it or you throw mud in it, doesn't matter to it. It just keeps on going because that's the flow. That's the Tao. That's the flow of nature. That everything just goes without. The more you think, the more unhappy you're going to be. The less you think, the more you're sinking with the environment. Because that's the flow. So ultimately, the river's water, it gets evaporated, gets exposed to tremendous heat, and gets, again, the whole cycle repeats itself. So we have to cut down our identifications. And we don't have to be afraid of cutting the identifications. And whenever we're fighting with people, when we're trying to prove ourselves right or wrong, and we're trying to win over everybody, that's where our ego is staying alive. And ego is preventing us, is creating the banks around us, is defining us, and preventing us from merging with the infinite Paramatma, right? So thinking makes you human, but not thinking makes you divine, right? And we're afraid of being destroyed because we think that what's going to happen? Then I'm going to be left with nothing, right? So, but when you get destroyed, we lose everything. But if we bend, we'll get destroyed. That's what we are afraid of. And then we are always afraid that by staying empty, we're going to have suffering. And then we won't have this, we won't have that. But once we realize that being destroyed is a sign of new life to come. So when you think of the next step, then you're thinking of the Tao, the whole flow of life, right? So there was one case in Russia, they say it happened, was one guy had a major accident, right? So, and he had an injury, brain injury, and then all of a sudden he woke up and he started receiving all the radio stations, like within 20 miles area. All the radio stations continuously were coming into him, and he couldn't help it. He couldn't shut them out. And we are doing the same thing. Every single connection we have a continuous radio waves coming from all the time. We never have peace. So we are continuously bombarded by all the thoughts that are coming in, right? So that's why every time we go to bed, we should cut down all the connections, right? And everything with everyone, and then until we wake up in the morning, we have fresh start again. So once we have this gift of being able to be destroyed, so that we can regenerate and enjoy the next thing that's coming in front of us, we're gonna be flowing with the life. Then we'll be able to enjoy whatever things are happening around us, rather than he said this and she said that and I have this and I have that and all that. Then you can enjoy the butterflies, the flowers. The flower, opens up in the morning, and then whether somebody smells or not, it keeps on spreading its fragrance. So because it's coming from deep within. So only when you remove all this smoke of thoughts, the sun will not shine. So we have to let it happen. What will happen, that will be decided by Paramatma. So when we stop arguing, when we start bending, and when we start syncing with the flow, what will come out of us, it doesn't matter. Because we are just the bouncery, and he is the flute player. We are just the flute. So we have to let him, because look, before the human beings came, millions of species on beautiful world was created by him. So why would he not keep on doing that? So only when we think, we become human. And when we stop thinking, the divine action starts. So start thinking in a little different way and look at the life in a little different way. That lack of things is a blessing. When you have less things, it's good for you. The less you have, there is emptiness. We are not talking about just the emptiness in the outside physical life. Your outside physical life is a reflection of what you have inside. If your house is filled with millions and millions and millions of things, that means you have millions and millions of thoughts in your head. There was one guy, he says that I have so many things I don't need, but I'm afraid to put it out. What if somebody will take it away? Then his pile will get bigger than my pile. Simple as that, right? So the problem is people like to hold on to things, right? I was just reading in the paper yesterday. So they said like now there are so many mansions coming up in America now. Despite all this bad economy, they have 45,000, 75,000 square homes. I'm talking about. But then basically it's multiplication of more of what we have.
Right.
And I always think about it. So okay, you have a drawing room. Say you will have a 10 times the size of a drawing room. But
Right.
basically it's the same drawing room, same bar, and same garage, and same movie theater, whatever, except just a little bigger, that's all. But it's like there is no limit. People just go on, and still people are not happy. Because having more things, it does not automatically brings more happiness. So lack of things is a blessing. Excess money is a root of evil and the root cause of stupidities of life. And we have a lot of examples of that. Governors of New York to presidents of America, and they are all these celebrities in Hollywood and Bollywood and all that. And they just have the more money does not make them any smarter, actually makes them more stupid. So, so the more you will have, the more weight you will have in your head and more weight in your shoulder, and the more your mind will be occupied and will have less time available to appreciate the beautiful world that we have outside, right? So, I'll just give you a small example and then we'll close. There was a story of a king who believed in one of the sadhu, The sadhu always lived peacefully in his hut. But the king always came to, get some piece of advice and how to, and then pray with him and all that for many years. So one day, king says, why don't you come with me? Come to the palace. He said, why do I have to? I'm happy here. He says, no, but just come, just to see what kind of life I'm living. And he says, okay. The king was surprised. He thought that he will never say yes. But he says, no, let's go. So he comes to the palace, and then the king puts him in a beautiful room, nicely decorated and all that, and gave him nice clothes to wear. So he put the clothes on and started enjoying. And they started serving the good food and very delicious gourmet food and all that. So he started enjoying for several days. 2 minutes. So several days passed, and almost a week, 2 weeks, almost a month passes, and now the king is getting a little edgy. He says, now it's time for you to leave now, but I feel that I kind of feel cheated because I've been praying you for all this time, and I thought you were a nice guy, that you were away from all these things, and now you look at you are enjoying all these things, and so am I wrong or what? So Saint says, no, not really. You're not wrong. He says, but then why are you enjoying all these things? And it looks like you really do. So he says, well, I'll tell you the difference. He says, what's the difference? He says, you have to come with me. So he says, all right, let's go. So they walk and walk and walk. They walk for days. And then he says, all along the way, keeps on asking, he says, you didn't teach me anything yet. He says, keep coming, keep coming. So ultimately, the edge of his kingdom comes in. And they says, let's go. So the king says, no, but my kingdom and my palace, I left everything. I can't go. He says, well, there you go. That's what I wanted to teach. The palace was in your head. It was not in my head.
Right.
All along you were staying attached to those things, and I'm not.
So you're enjoying, he was enjoying everything without attachment.
Exactly. So when you are happy in your state of existence, what happens is once you give up all these attachments and all that, you develop a sense of steadiness, peace, contentment, and happiness. And that is the real wealth that you can have. So I have few sentences I have written down. I would like to quote. The life is not about winning or losing, not about being right or wrong, but having fun together. It's not about struggle, but to let go and float freely in the ocean of life. It's not about how much money you have, it's about how many friends you have. It's not a stagnant, dirty pool of water. Life doesn't have to be a stagnant pool of dirty water. But it's a gigantic ocean with boundaries and a free-flowing waves that you can enjoy. And it's not about showing your harshness and a power to intimidate others and win over others, but to show your softness and love for all, right? And it's not about climbing mountains where only few people can exist on the top, but it's taking a stroll in the garden and smelling the flowers all together, because that's available for all of us. So that concludes the discussion on Tao. And Lao Tse says that by following these abilities, by learning this knowledge and applying in a day-to-day life, the sage, somebody who is a wise guy, remains happy and people follow him. That's why he's so rare compared to all of us who don't follow Tao. Okay.